A former WWE lead writer has been begging Tony Khan for a job with AEW. WWE are reportedly looking to reconcile with suspended stars, and a WWE Hall of Famer's return has been scrapped. Find out who that was and what happened to them in a little tickle. Road Dogg was released by WWE back in January when, with Vince McMahon retiring, Triple H taking over head of creative and head of talent relations. There's been a lot of rumour and innuendo on the interwebs and whatnot, saying that Road Dogg, who of course worked under Triple H for so many years as part of NXT, he was a lead writer on SmackDown for a couple of years, I've been led to believe, which skipped me by.
Yeah, do you not remember there was always like the backstage, backstage videos about what goes on, and he'd always be in the background, but with his back turned to the camera in a lot of them, so you're like, is that him or not?
He's got a very distinctive back of head tattoo, so I assume that was him. But all those things put together have been led to people saying, could Road Dogg be on his way back to the WWE? Well, he has been speaking about this, hasn't he, young Andrew?
He certainly
has. We have
has.
a big bloody quote from his appearance on Busted Open Radio recently.
He said, I would love to go back to NXT. I don't think I want to go to the main roster. I would love to go somewhere where I have something to offer. What was that?
I got a brand new combine.
Getting in his combine harvester. What I have to offer is making the television show sweet. I got a couple of ideas about wrestling. I feel like WWE has that. They have everything I have to offer. I don't know if they'd hire me back. Of course, I'd love to go back to NXT. Oh. It's really cool down there. Sean and a couple of the writers I worked with on SmackDown got a great rapport with those guys. I don't know if I'm ready to do the old Windsor knot and fit back into the suits I bought though.
But that's not all he said, dear viewer, because he revealed he's been begging Tony Khan for a job with AEW. He says, and I quote, I'm not retired, I'm unemployed. I see things on Tony... Oh my God, I said
we're all going out today.
Bloody hell, we've had a beer this morning. Tony Khan's TV show that appall me. I could help with that. I've been begging him for a job on every platform I can, and I want to know the reason why he won't hire me. I think, Road Dogg, it might be because you said, I see things on Tony Khan's TV show that appall me.
Yeah.
I don't think that would endear yourself to him, would you?
Not really. He's kind of very on the nose there. I get the idea of that he's kind of being a little bit forward, being like, sometimes you need that person to give you that criticism, right? And I guess that's kind of where he's coming from, but at the same time, you've got to do it in a way that is not just blatantly, just outright insulting someone's product, right?
Because listen to Brucey P's podcast, Something to Wrestle With, for many years. He would always go on about the what if thing.
Yeah.
If you're in a meeting with Vince McMahon back in the day when he was in charge of everything, you would say, what if, Vince? Just to say, I disagree with what you're saying, Vince, but what if? Just to, soften the blow. Not go, Vince McMahon, what you said appalls me. I don't care who you say that to, it's not going to go down well, is it?
It's not a professional thing to do either, really, is it? And you'd have thought someone like Road Dogg might have known a little bit more about professionalism given the sort of jobs he's been in before.
So still, I would assume if Road Dogg is going to get back into the wrestling booking game, it would be with WWE or NXT and not AEW. Sticking with Road Dogg news, which is what everybody wants on a Friday morning.
Yeah.
He's been speaking about Dolph Ziggler, and a very interesting quote there, Andrew, because he said that Dolph Ziggler is his own worst enemy.
Okay. Right.
What did he say?
Well, I'll tell him what he said, Ross. There we go. So yeah, on his Oh You Didn't Know podcast, he said, he's just his own worst enemy sometimes. I think it's just, I don't know if it's the attitude of the older guys don't know what they're doing. He always has a yeah attitude and doesn't ever do anything you say. But I do think to this day, he's one of the best bumpers in the industry and has been around doing it to this day.
I think that's very interesting.
I think that's very interesting as well. I like, at least he puts a little bit of respect on his name at the end there, which is quite nice.
It's interesting that Ziggler has been there for about, 15, 20 years going on now.
Yeah.
And he's not said yes to anything. He's just been doing his own thing for the last 20 years. He's kept a job.
Fair play to him.
Dolph Ziggler.
Right?
We now move on to Sasha Banks and Naomi, and WWE are reportedly looking to reconcile with the suspended stars. Of course, they walked out of the May 16 episode of Monday Night Raw after a meeting with Vince McMahon over creative differences and how the Women's Tag Team Championships were sort of presented in the company, how they were booked and whatnot. Certain assurances that were maybe given that they weren't given. They walked out, and here we find ourselves today. Dave Meltzer has appeared on an episode of Sports Illustrated Media Podcast, which was released yesterday, and he was asked if Vince McMahon leaving could see the return of Sasha Banks and Naomi be a bit more likely, Andrew. What did he say?
He said it's kind of up in the air. I mean, they're gone. The last I heard was that there would be attempts to be made to reconcile, especially with Vince gone. So it's up in the air. I don't think there's anything definite just yet, though. And I think, personally, I reckon if you're Triple H, you do want those. You do want Sasha Banks and Naomi back.
Yeah.
Like, really credible, especially Naomi now. I feel like her coming back in a time where Triple H is in charge, like, it's going to be her time when she comes back, because she wasn't really given that too much on the main roster, at least in more recent years anyway. So for her, I reckon to be like a credible main event person, that's very much on the cards for her.
I think people need to watch our pitches for SummerSlam 2022, which is on the channel right now, because I pitched something which I think would set the cat among the pigeons when it comes to Sasha Banks and Naomi. Because if I was Triple H, I would have a list of jobs. Get rid of Kevin Dunn, maybe the top one.
Yep.
Second one at the very least. Maybe Sasha Banks and Naomi would be the top one, but the second one at the very least would be to get back to Sasha Banks and Naomi.
I mean, money, right? And that's a big thing. That's a big thing about the wrestling business. You want to make as much money as you possibly can.
I don't think it's down to money, though. I think it's just down to assurances now. If you're going to have something like a women's tag team title, present them like they mean something rather than just an afterthought, which they've done for every single reign apart from Sasha Banks and Bayley during lockdown of 2020. That's the only reign they've done so far where it felt like they meant something. Yeah,
definitely. And I think, again, with Triple H sort of in charge now, he was there when Sasha Banks was coming up through NXT. So, you know, he's kind of helped her hone her craft and be the star that she is today. So he's gonna, like, give her something of consistency if she does come back anyway, isn't she?
He built the boss.
Yeah, he built the boss.
He gave her the gimmick and the car and the flashy knuckles, I assume. But this is interesting news on this very morning, because earlier this month it was reported by several sources that the pair were removed from the company's internal active roster. And it was also reported here, there and everywhere that Sasha Banks' lawyers were trying to obtain her release from the company a little while ago. Just in case you're wondering, the pair wrestled their last match against Shayna Baszler and Natalya. Those halcyon days. On the May 13th episode of SmackDown, successfully defending their titles. I hope they come back.
Me too. And I hope Shayna Baszler gets more of a chance now as well.
Way I.
Go on,
Not
do
Natalya.
It. We've
Go on, Natalya.
We've seen her do
we now
a bit
move
now.
on to a WWE Legends return, which was scrapped. PW Insider have a massive update on the Rated R superstar Edge, because of course at Money in the Bank we saw the debut of these spooky bollocks promos.
We did.
A lot of people thought it could have been The Fiend initially, but then many people realised, well, the references to the Hardy Boys, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero,
Kurt Angle,
the
Undertaker, I think in most recent
Mick
ones
Foley's
as well.
flannel shirt was there from the Flaming Table spot at WrestleMania. People worked out it was Edge pretty soon.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was going to return on this week's Raw to set up something maybe for SummerSlam.
Yep.
But PW Insider have revealed why that was scrapped there, Andrew, haven't they?
So, PW Insider saying, in our Elite section, we reported that Edge and Beth Phoenix were both slated for MSG, but then later reported plans changed shortly after the Vince McMahon exit. The original plans had them also slated for SummerSlam weekend, but there's no word whether that is still happening or they are holding off their return for a later date. Now, what I guess, I mean, it's not been promised. Nothing's been promised. If you remember in the promos when presumably Edge was writing on the, like, a little board thing, it just says, I'm coming to, and then it was just left blank. So I mean, whether that was, you know, purposeful on WWE's behalf, to just be like, okay, well, maybe we don't actually know when you're returning, but that's also a good thing. That works in their favor at the same time, doesn't it? Because then they can just, like, not promise anything. He can turn up whenever he can turn up, I guess.
Yeah, it is very, very sensible of them not to reveal I'm coming to Raw on July the whatever it was on Monday.
Just writing it in tiny little words at the bottom.
I'll be there between 8:30 and 9. Please be there watching. But it was obviously it seemed that all signs were pointing to. I mean, I took it from Rey Mysterio's injury angle in this week's Raw. He was like, instead of going, "Oh my knee," he was saying, "Oh my arm," after being attacked by the Judgment Day. It felt like maybe Edge could come back to team with Dom to take down the Judgment Day, who of course kicked him out of the group a little while ago, but obviously that plan would not be happening now. The Beth Phoenix thing being included is also interesting. She obviously wrestled her last match for the company back at the Royal Rumble in January, where they defeated the team of The Miz and Maryse.
Oh, la la. J'ai qui. That's a word. But I guess Beth Phoenix coming back could also obviously tie into the Judgment Day stuff too, because then she can go on and do something.
You don't do that to my husband.
What? And they just have just a finger wag contest.
Yeah. To be fair though, Rhea Ripley versus Beth Phoenix, that's a hoss battle.
That would be pretty
to
good.
End the ages.
And they're quite like beefed up, beefed up, muscly ladies just having an absolute beat on each other. There you go.
Lovely. But I reckon this is a signal from Triple H that bringing back these legends is over. That's what my reckless speculation for the morning is going to be. Because of course the plans changed with Vince McMahon's exit. So,
of course.
Yeah. So Triple H is going to bring in the new guns and just cast away these old yellers.
He did also say as well, he's going to do things that make sense storyline wise. So perhaps he's got a grander plan. Things can play out a little bit further down the line for an Edge return. Maybe it doesn't need to be as soon as SummerSlam.
No, it could be any time. That is it for morning news video number 1. We do have a morning news video number 2, which might be with you in the afternoon, making it an afternoon news video number 2.
He's got it. He's got it in one.
Fantastic.
That's perfect, Ross.
And we'll have more updates on SummerSlam and a certain NXT legend who could be there. Thank you for watching. I've been Ross, he's been Little Andy, and we'll see you soon.